General feeling is very mixed for me in particular. I like it. I read it every week, but I have gotten the distinct feeling that the author is rushing a lot of the series, and I think there is an interview where he states just that.
I think like one of the weirdest things for me that I've been experiencing as I've been reading My Hero is it definitely does feel like they're just trying to like tie up loose ends, but I find it really strange also because the Stars and Stripes character, like right at the start of like this final like conflict, and this is like just one example, but this is like kind of how I've felt a lot of My Hero is in even like the small parts where it's like just not making progress that I find very satisfactory, and then when it is, it's like insane. The two biggest things that like going into this arc that have bothered me are one, Stars and Stripes showing up, losing, and accomplishing nothing. And the second thing, of course, before I move on to that, Midoriya's growth. My neck is falling off my head. It's so breakneck fast. It's insane. So, starting with Stars and Stripes, it's really strange to me that they were talking about Shigaraki. They're like, he's coming in 7 days, guys. He's coming in 7 days. We gotta be careful. And then they're like, okay, but if we just use some crazy like mumbo jumbo, he's coming in 3 days. Actually, it's not a week. He's coming in 3 days, guys. 3 days, and Shigaraki's gonna be like full power. We gotta watch out. So what happens? Stars and Stripes shows up. She fights Shigaraki. She dies, and I'm like, okay. And then it's like, oh, but thanks to her sacrifice, we have 7 more days again instead of 3 days. And I'm like, what? You show this new character, she loses, and we go from Shigaraki's coming from 7 days to Shigaraki's coming in 7 days. You have all this content in the middle that to me, I'm just like, nothing happened. In a way, if I'm being hopeful, they just wanted to introduce the idea of America so that there's a tie-in with vigilantes and maybe Koichi's coming from America. That's the only... I don't know why. And when you're wasting chapters on all this exposition that we don't really need, where some characters like, oh yeah, that is happening. It's because like this is going on. Yeah, that makes sense because like that other character, and this is what the characters are saying on the screen in their exposition bubbles. Oh yeah, they're like telling us like this is what happened to this character, even though we already know that that's what happened. I would be like, yeah, that makes sense based on what I've read. But it almost feels like Horikoshi either doesn't believe that his readers are capable of putting one and one together, and he has to explain everything like very thoroughly for no reason, or he's naturally long-winded. Like the Deku joke of like he overanalyzes everything and he like says like that's comedic. That's kind of funny. I'm not complaining about that stuff. But I think that might be Horikoshi projecting himself. Because I think that's kind of what he does through the dialogue, like a little bit too often. Which is a problem because you see like Deku, he has the super like strength power. Obviously, he grew into that power. We all know it. We accept it. He had a lot of growth that he had to do in order to master the ability. When he learned Black Whip, we had to like go through this whole thing, you know, of like, oh, I have to learn this new power. It's like very difficult, and like I have to like get used to this thing. He had to have like a mindset change, and I was like, okay, yeah, he can use Black Whip now. It's pretty earned. Suddenly, Deku can fly that we didn't really see like sufficient training for that he's done, and I'm like, what? Like I understand that he has access to all these other powers, but like it just felt way too sudden. But you would think that if he can't use like Black Whip at all, used it by accident, and he had to, like when he attempted to use it, there's like a tiny like blob basically that was like not even a whip. It's just like you would think that he needs to like train, right?
Nah, he just the plot needed him to know them all, so he does.
Yeah, so I feel like the pacing of My Hero Academia has, I feel like it's abysmal.